library is a little bit different language than the classroom faculty, so we try to take the templates we're given and morph them into working for our line of work. So let's leave this page here. And I'll talk about the accomplishments very briefly. We're migrating, a couple of my colleagues, three of my colleagues, do a really heavy lift as we migrate. The state decided to purchase a library platform. That's the whole backbone of how our library works electronically. By the state buying that, we're gonna, in the end, save a lot of money throughout the community college districts in California. It's probably the best top of the line. It's used by most of the universities. So really great platform that's gonna give us a lot more. It's gonna be better on both ends, the back end for the workflow, and then really great for our students and our other patrons on the front end. Not only are several of our faculty members leaders working on this for the district, they're also part of the overall statewide group of leaders. So they're really out there showing how great our Los Rios faculty are at the state level. The system's gonna go live in January, so I'll get to some of the challenges we're gonna face when that does happen in just a second here. Also, we've, since our last program review, we've added 11 new databases. So these are electronic resources, both content with books and journals, etc., but also 3 new streaming videos. We move away from DVDs and move to 24/7 availability of film. And we have lots of disciplines asking for additional streaming videos, so we'll work on the district there. What's nice about our electronic resources, the databases, is these come from the district off the top. They don't hurt us here money-wise, and because we're one library system, and we want to make sure that our students there at multiple campuses are having access to the same material. So the district obviously has been really responsive, adding 11 new databases. That's many, many tens of thousands of dollars in subscriptions every year. So very supportive there. Instruction. Well, many of you, I see friendly faces that I often see every semester. We've averaged over the last 5 years about 140 physical library instructions where classes come in and have between 30 minutes and an hour and 20 minutes of instruction around their individual assignments. And we see approximately about an average of over 4,000 students per year in those library instruction sessions. We've also really expanded with the expansion of hybrid and online to offer fully online research guides, tutorials that actually have sort of kind of workbookish kind of things that the students will work on in those tutorials. And then also we're working on a lot more videos. So we plug those videos into our research guides, or some faculty like videos that they can just plug right into their Canvas shells. So we're expanding those electronic, and we've kind of plateaued over the last 4 or 5 years around this 140, 150 physical instruction. So we want to find some ways of promoting the physical to leave that plateau and keep building up again. Lastly, we've redesigned, we used the redesign of the college website to really look at the accessibility issues, the content that we provide, kind of simplify. Our website was pretty busy, and we used that time period and the expertise of our great staff that helped with that to really clean up and make the library website a lot more functional and easy to use. Next slide. EDC, we had a longtime librarian retire that was the sole librarian up there, I think in spring 2014. And we decided at that point that we would send up the full-timers. We'd each grab a day. Sometimes some folks will have 2 days up there each semester. And we wanted to get all the expertise of our librarians on that collection, on what's happening there physically. And we've been able to take a collection that was 61% older than 2000, and we've gotten that down to 50%. It takes time, the physical collection I'm talking about. And then we only had 8% at that time when we took over of materials that was published after 2010. We've got that up to 18%. So we're always really busy, so collection development is a very important part of our job, but a lot of times that takes a back seat to all the other things we do to keep the library going. So it does take a bit longer to move those figures when we're talking about the physical collection. Despite reduction in course offerings at EDC, EDC still is on average 24% of our physical face-to-face library instruction, which is great. I'm going to actually skip down to the bottom one here, and thank you, John. We got C217 that was converted from, I think, a television classroom into a small computer lab, and up there we only had one lab, C202, and we'd often kind of fight for our hands-on library instruction with courses that were in that classroom for the whole semester. So we often would have to have what we call a not-so-smart library instruction in the classroom without computers, so they hear a brief lecture and then they don't do the research right then, so they don't get that muscle memory of searching with their content expert and their librarian there to help. Thankfully, John had a great idea. Hey, what if we convert that into a small lab, and then we could either have the smaller classes in there or a lot smaller library instructions. So now we've got two different labs to choose from, and this semester we've had no overlap. We were able to do all of our library instructions smart, the way we like that. So thank you so much, John. Library as place, that's a thing, and it's really important. Studies, surveys, etc. show that students, yes, of course, love your resources, but they also like library as place. We were able, also with admin's help, to get new seating at our computers that we have in the library at EDC, much more comfortable. They could spread out their materials without putting it on the desk of the person next to them. So that's been really great. And we've also going to get a new research desk that we're lining up. So right when they come in the door, they'll look right at the librarian, big sign, research help. Come over here and we'll help you. So really excited about what we're doing up at EDC. Rancho. Rancho is 11% of our library instructions, and we're building those up slowly but surely. We do have a space there that we often have to share with other classes, etc. So that can be a little problematic, but as Rancho grows and we have more classrooms there, hopefully that will remedy that. We've got a small textbook reserve. So those are textbooks that are there on reserve from instructors that lend them to the library. We lend them back out to the students. It hasn't been hooked to our current library system, so kind of a hokey spreadsheet version, which doesn't work that well. Works fine for the students, but on the back end, it's a little tedious. But as we roll out our new library system next semester, we're going to go ahead and have a fully integrated reserve system. And we're also really excited, for the first time, Rancho Cordova will be part of our interlibrary loan service also. So come in January, Rancho Cordova students will have all the same services that students have here at main campus or up at EDC. We have research appointments because centers don't typically have a librarian or a library. EDC is a special case. So what we do is we do have appointments, and we'll come down and we'll send a librarian down to work with students anytime that the LRC is open at Rancho Cordova Center. And then also, we're going to roll out a 24/7 chat research assistance. We've got a great new platform for our library chat research help, and it's going to actually, come February, go worldwide. So students that need research help will be able to work with librarians, say in New Zealand, for example, if they're working in the middle of the night here in California. So that'll be the first time in Los Rios that we have that 24/7 capability for research help. So that's really exciting. Obstacles. One of our librarians, Becky Mendel, has done 2 different sabbaticals creating a information literacy framework. American River College, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years ago, did something similar where they really spread information literacy out across the disciplines, found leaders in different disciplines, and created a really great team. And Becky really has been pushing us to envision something like that, and she did 2 sabbaticals about that. And so that is going to really, every one of the librarians and our library technicians are going to be working on aspects of that in the next few years as we try to infuse that across the whole campus. That new library services platform, that LSP, we're going to be configuring it. We've been working on it all year long, really a lot lately as we prepare to go live. But there'll be tweaks and fixes and maintenance new functionalities that we're gonna have to learn for our workflow, etc. So this is gonna be ongoing for all the librarians and our library techs. We do have to do some legwork for that interlibrary loan service at Rancho Cordova Center, which 2 librarians and 1 of our library techs will be working on. And then Laura Lee has, up the hill at EDC, has been working on an archive. When we moved from the old rancho to the new rancho, Joyce gave us carloads of material. The library and my office have been filled with main campus, several carloads of material, and EDC had a really long history of really great material, photographs, just really great planning material, things we want to keep our hands on for posterity. And Laura Lee is putting that together in the back room, the technical service area of the library. She's using a whole wall, starting to catalog this material so it'll be available when anyone needs any historical knowledge of the entire history of Folsom Lake College. So those are some of the things we'll be working on. Needs. EDC is probably our biggest need when it comes to staff. We have the statutory minimum wage increases, and what's happened, unfortunately, is temporary staff has been cut because the funding wasn't there. Well, the funding, we found the funding, thank you, Greg and John. Funding was found to remedy this a little bit last semester. But what's gonna happen is these are gonna keep rolling out until we get to that end game of the statutory minimum wage increase. And what's gonna end up happening is we may have to close the library for an hour for lunchtime, so the one staff member that's permanent can have the break if we don't have money for the temporary folks, or we may have to close an hour earlier at night or open an hour later in the morning. So hopefully that's something we can work out and figure out over the next semester. I won't talk about furniture, that's not very exciting. One last thing I do want to talk about though is we have the ability to expedite material to get it and get it out to our students and our staff and our faculty much quicker with the new system. With our old system and what we're doing now, we have to get a whole big batch and then we create a bunch of the stickers that we put on the books before we put them out, or the DVDs. And we have to accumulate enough to do a whole page of stickers. What we're gonna do is hopefully get a couple Zebra labor printers. So if we get a box with 5 books, 20 books, 30 books, we can immediately print that material and process that material in maybe a day or 2 instead of accumulating it for a week or 2. We can have that material then, as soon as it comes to us, get it through technical services and out on the shelf for our patrons to use. SLO assessments. Well, I won't talk about the one unit course that we teach. I'm gonna, if you want to learn about that, there's tons of that in the program review, because again, the program review is really geared towards classroom faculty. So I'm gonna just touch on some other program needs here. We do have our updated critical thinking, information literacy, ISLO. We're really happy with the wording. We took some more technical wording that we had before and put that into a wording that anybody can understand about information literacy. I covered the framework there. And then the final phase of the project of that framework, we're probably gonna need some release time. So we'll talk to our dean about that as we pilot that program of that information literacy framework across the whole campus. Future program needs, we'll look at SLOs. We definitely will be creating assessments for that program itself so we can judge how well the pilot works when we get to that stage. And there's a colorful graphic that Becky put together that talks about that framework, and I can share that with anybody that's interested. Any questions?
But just a comment, in terms of you're talking about how students should make an appointment, a research appointment, and a out nursery. This is not uncommon. We do that with all the services we do. But do you offer video appointments? So for example, can a student Skype with a librarian instead of actually coming physically to campus?
Yeah, we have not done that yet, but that's definitely an option that we could explore. That actually sounds quite fun. Thanks.
I want to thank the library for offering the online research guides for the online classes and online public speaking, for example. Students are able to complete those. They get a PDF of a certificate of completion. They can upload those as an assignment. And I've noticed that the students are doing much better works cited and much better, just finding better sources
That's
thanks to
great.
those guides. So thank you.
Let the tutorial folks know that they're working. That's awesome.
They're working.
Thank you.